Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for being here today. And thank you, Marty, for this invitation, and Melanie, and all of you who are part of the BIPOC Psychedelic Society as well for creating this. It's such an important way of inclusion, and that it was so needed here in Colorado for a very long time. So I'm really grateful and really proud of you guys as well for putting this together and for looking for the resources to make this possible and invite Indigenous people or people that actually identify as an Indigenous and actually provide a reciprocity to them. So that's really important, and I think that you guys are leading that. So thank you so much for that and for the invitation. My name is Andrea. I'm originally I was born and raised in Chile. I moved to the US about 17 years ago, actually. On the 23rd was 17 years ago. And I was in the East Coast for about 8 years, and then I moved to Colorado right after the eclipse in 2017, and I'm sure you all remember that eclipse. That it moved and it brought a lot of people to Colorado, actually. Many people that I have met here in Colorado that they are involved in the psychedelic or plant medicine movement actually moved here after that eclipse. And that says a lot about the land, that says a lot about the bigger picture and the bigger plan that we cannot see as human, but that it is there and is a bigger plan that is bigger than all of us. So I wanted to share that part. I'm a Mapuche descendant. It is a tribe in the south of Chile and Argentina. And like in many places and throughout the whole planet, colonization also came to the land, and the Mapuche people, it was the only tribe that actually didn't surrender to the Spaniards and actually won the battle, and we're still fighting for the land and actually creating consciousness of the protection of the land and the rights of water, and overall the living one-on-one that we have with the land. And also the Mapuche people didn't surrender to the Inca, which were also native, but we were also colonizers. I share this is because sometimes, and not sometimes, but in history, Indigenous people have been seen, or because of the system that we have inherited, Indigenous people are being portrayed as specific adjectives to just make the culture look as different and not respecting the system that they are implemented. Why do I say this? Is because, and it happened here in the U.S. as well, on Turtle Island. Kill the Indian and save the man. It happened everywhere. It just didn't happen. It just not only happened here in Turtle Island, it happened everywhere. The only difference that where I come from, it happened 100 years later. So the trauma and the pain is a little bit closer, because generationally, 100 years is about 2 generations, 3 generations. So it's like my mother, my grandmother. So it's very close. It's still tender. It's still raw. As over here, and I don't mean to compare it, saying which one is better and worse than the other. I'm just making an analogy. Here in the US, it's 100 years later, so we tend to forget, and we see it as history. And we see it as like, oh, the natives were there, it's history. If we didn't learn it in the school, it's history. And no, we're all still very present, right? And what is happened here in Colorado, as you may know, is that the original people from this land were erased, suffered a massacre. Many of the women actually and the children were the one who went and fight the soldiers for the massacre, because the massacre, which for many years was called a battle, which it wasn't a battle, the massacre here in this land, it happened when the men were out. So they planned it in a way that the women were by themselves, and the women were with their children, and if you know the history, it's really, really, really sad. So this land is really speaking. This land really, really is calling us all for the healing that is needed. And plant medicine is interconnected to that, right? As it is also give or medicine that the Mother Nature, the land, provides to us for the better good of us and also of the all, because we are all interconnected. Just to come back to to present myself, when I moved to Colorado at the end of 2017, I had experience in my life that it had brought me to the understanding that it was important to speak about plant medicine because, and going back to where I'm from, I was born and raised under a military coup where all of the information and everything was very controlled. The military coup lasts 17 years. So I was gestated, I was the 9 months and all the way until I was 5 years old. The country was under a dictatorship of the military. And with that, everybody who will say something different, it will be killed, it will be tortured, it will disappear. And until today, we still don't know when many bodies are, or many people are, and they disappear after 50 years. There's still no resolution or anything that it has brought peace to that. And I'm sharing this because in Chile, if they see you at the time with a book that it says something different than the military wanted you to know or to see or to learn, they will kill you. They will come to your house, they will burn everything, and then you will disappear, and your family will disappear. So my parents were teenagers when this started. The amount of trauma and fear that creates in the genes, right? So by the time that I was born, I brought all of that trauma with me, and I brought all of that history with me, even though I wasn't alive when the military coup happened in 1973, I still feel that as part of the trauma of the collective of my people and the people of South America and everywhere where it went. Going back to the books, when they will see you with a book, or many people were killed when they were putting a poster outside to protest, and all the information actually that they will come into the country will be very controlled, and all the information that will go out will be very controlled. So after 17 years, it was the media. It was actually somebody with a camera who saw and shared what was happening in Chile, and that created a movement outside of Chile that created the pressure in the military to actually give the power of the people to vote if they wanted actually to continue the military or not. And that was called the campaign of the no. So we wanted to say no to what was happening. Why do I'm sharing this? Is because it's so important to create awareness. It's so important to use technology in our favors. It's so important to share what is happening. Now we know what is happening in Israel and Gaza because we have internet, because we have media, because we have electronics and technology that we're being called to use, and that we are being called to reconnect and interconnect with what is happening. And if it wasn't for that intervention of somebody from the outside who shared, right, on the outside, what was happening in Chile, that wouldn't have happened, right? The democracy wouldn't have come back to the country. Same with, and I'm sure you're familiar with Greenpeace, right? And that controversy, but it was because they were killing the whales somewhere and somebody filmed it, and because of that, then it was created, and there is a huge now movement of consciousness of the animals and the environment. When I moved here in 2017, I felt the call that I needed to speak up, that I needed to share about these medicines, who we all know they are illegal in the country, and at this time they were illegal and criminalized here in Denver as well. And I look for a place where we can have this conversation, and I find out about Psychedelic Society of Colorado at the time. And before that, I was also part of Psychedelic Lab of New York when I was living in New York, and then I helped create the Psychedelic Society of Nashville. I was living in Nashville for a year before I moved here, so I was already I had volunteer at Horizon conference in New York, which was mind-blowing for me because I didn't know all of the studies behind all of this medicine, and I felt like they're robbing people to know that there is other options to heal and people don't know and they need to know. And so how can we make awareness? How can we create awareness of these medicines so people actually can have an option and actually they choose what they want instead of this is what it is and just that, right? With the background on the connection with the land as a person of color, and as the trauma that I have mentioned, many of the people have experienced, not just in Chile, but throughout the whole planet, there is a lack of understanding of trauma. If we think of our grandparents, didn't talk about trauma. Actually, in my household, my grandfather was an orphan. He was a Mapuche man. His land was taken away. He was put in an orphan, just like the boarding schools here, indoctrinated and all of that. But nobody spoke about the trauma of my tata. Nobody. It was after he passed that I start digging into understanding what generational trauma is and how our actions and behaviors are just a result of that they're so unconscious and that we create coping mechanisms when we are traumatized that they help us survive, but then later on in life, they don't help us any longer, but we are so adapted to those coping mechanisms that then they start affecting our life. So if we think of 2-3 generations back, nobody spoke about trauma. Trauma wasn't a thing. It actually, if we talk about what happened to the grandfather or the grandmother, I don't know if it happened to your family, but in my family, it will be taboo. It will be like, no, you don't talk about that. And there was not a space to acknowledge the pain and the wounds that colonization or indoctrination or coming and taking the land has created in the lineage. We're all the same. So we're all different, but at the same time, we're all human. The system that we have inherited that don't see us as unique and different. In fact, they criticize the difference. In fact, they will push away and othering the one who is different and othering the one who will bring up the truth, or we will make questions, or will ask uncomfortable questions, or will bring up situations that are not in harmony. Society will other that person. It wouldn't bring that person and it will say, hey, tell me all about it. Like, tell me what I'm wrong, or tell me all about it where I should improve. We're not wired for that yet, right? We're wired to protect ourselves, to don't let anybody to say anything about our life, but somehow we feel that we can say about others. And the reason I'm saying this is because the name of this talk is psychedelic perspective led from a heart, leading from the heart. And what do that really means, right? Psychedelic, the word psyche is mind. It's no heart, right? When we're talking about mind-altering state or this medicine come and change your brain, your mind, your thinking, yes, they do all of that. But what about the heart? What about the center? What about the portal? Because the heart is the portal, right? So somehow the system, even within the psychedelic movement, even within the NTO community, is implemented and is inherited and is present, but we don't see it. So often we say, we gotta decolonize ourselves. In reality, we don't need to decolonize ourselves because we didn't colonize ourselves. So how are we gonna undo something that we didn't create it? What we need to do is re-indigenize ourselves. All of us, no matter what your background is. Thank you, sis. Hunikuin shaman this year shared with me, it was so beautiful. He knows what is happening here. He knows what is happening in Colorado. And he said to me, if there is one person in here that doesn't have indigenous blood, he's not from this planet. And it's truth, right? But because it happens so far away, we're so far away from it, and those who come from South America is so close to it, we think that it's only ours and that didn't happen to them. It's not true, it happened in Europe. Europe was colonized the first of all, right? So it happened to all of that. So we all carry trauma. It's different trauma, it's unique trauma, and we all experience it in different ways, and we all create a coping mechanism to deal with it, right? So we know the space of and I don't like to call it psychedelic, I really don't, but the space of plant medicine, and just because psychedelics are so about the mind, and the plant medicine is a whole. It's not only the mind, it's spirit, soul, body, right? It's everything. It's not just the mind. And as we are, as everything else is, right? We are nature. Nature is everything, right? The blood is water, right? We have the rivers, we have the water that comes from the mountains and go all the way to the ocean, right? All the way to South America. We have air, which is our mind. We have fire, which represents our spirit. And then we have earth, which represents our body. So we are nature, and we're all interconnected. So to believe that psychedelic will only work in our mind is kind of naive to even think of it, right? So that's why I'm not want to use the word psychedelic, and I will prefer to plant medicine. So right there, you know, we have new generations, really young people coming in with so many ideas and so many things that they want to do things different, right? But they don't know where to start, because all the system that we inherit, we don't know anything different than that. Like the hotel, right? Like the son didn't put a rail for the handicapped people. He didn't know better, right? Because he was so immersed. The same way that I didn't know a different way of living when I was back in Chile. I was so immersed in trauma that I didn't know healing was even possible. We all are in this system. We all are so part of this system. So many people, when they do plant medicine and experience beautiful healing and awakening, and they feel this call to be of service. Many wants to be shamans, and they want to serve the medicine, and they want to take over something that doesn't, it's not, it may be or may not be on their lineage or in their path. You don't need to become a shaman to make a difference. You don't need to serve medicine to make a difference. You can integrate and heal and become the most authentic version of yourself and make the changes within the system that you already are part of it. You know, we don't need to create this whole legalization that you have here in Colorado, that there's so many people that want to be certified and create centers and all of that and make money out of it, right? When we can just be a better person with your partner, with your mom, with your sister, with your friends, right? With your pet, You know, you can be a better person within the system that we are. You don't need to become a shaman to make a difference. And I know the medicines will make a huge calling of all of us, and we interpret that as, oh, I need to become a shaman. So now I'm gonna do this training of, 6 months, and I'm gonna certify as a shaman, right? That's the ego speaking about it, right? And there is nothing wrong with the ego. Nothing wrong with the ego. It's just that we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We are already part of this system, so we can just be a better person, and by our vibration, being part of a system, that will create the change within the system. It is an inner work. It's not about going and save everybody else that needs ayahuasca or whatever, right? It's not about creating all of these businesses opportunities, focus on healing and selling all of that, which is good if we think of. What is good is the fact that, and you all know, and otherwise you wouldn't be here, that plant medicine is a better option than SSRI for some people, right? Plant medicine is not for everybody. And the option should be there, and the person should choose. They shouldn't be like pharmaceutical is the only thing, or SSRI is the only thing that you can do, it's the only option that you have. But they should be options. As you see, I have my dog here with me today. I didn't plan to do that, but he was bitten by a dog today. Right, like 2 hours before I came here. He's fine. Actually, he's fine. But when I was in shock today a few hours ago, and I was talking to the vet, and she's like, he will need so-and-so medication. I explained to her, and I'm like, okay, I'm an Indigenous woman. Our ways are different. And she just didn't know how to react. She's like, okay, think about it, and she went away. And right there, I was like, I'm gonna tell this story today because that's the system right there, the bed, something amazing. They treated him well. But at the end, she said, we strongly recommend these medications. And I'm like, thank you so much. And I'm not saying that I'm giving or not giving it to him. I'm just saying that when I told her, like, what other options I have, and the only reason I was in that bed today was right because it's right in front where I live, and we just ran there. So I said, I may need to look for a holistic vet. And she's like, yeah, do whatever you do, right? Do your thing and you make the decision. But her face was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna leave you alone. And she just ran away. Right there, I understood, that's the system. The system is telling you to do something, and if you think that, if you are saying that you're gonna do something different because of your culture or because of your beliefs, you're seeing like somebody who is, I don't know, has 2, 3 heads, right? So that was with the bed. So if we're talking about plant medicine, what this is huge, right? It's not just the bed, it's huge. We're talking about mental health. There is not a coincidence. September is Suicidal Awareness Month. We know that this medicine have helped many people, including myself, to overcome suicidal ideation, to overcome so many stem that trauma can show up as. So to use your position of where you are today is huge, more than let's co-create all this whole other thing and create and become shamans and all of this thing, because I will provide the medicine, because I will save others. Like just by expressing of whatever industry you are, that you think different, that you believe different, because I couldn't say nothing to the bed, but I felt like, no, just give me options. There was no options. It was like, think about it and I run away. Now it's in your hands. We do this with every single thing, right? Now we are especially Colorado, we are a little bit more connected to nature. We are a little bit more connected to options. We're a little bit more connected. And by the way, he's on CBD, so he's not in pain. But we do this in all of the system that we inherit, that we don't even know how they would look if they weren't colonized, right? So why this is happening right now in 2024 and how many years back it has been happening. And I'm curious to know if you agree or disagree, but I personally believe that we are in the end of an era and that we are entering a new era. And this new era is the era of the technology, right? That's why I started with technology at the very beginning. So, and the technology is advancing very, 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 very fast. I remember using the phone that had the little thing that goes around. My grandfather used to put a box on it because yes, so to stop it, to not make call. And now, like we can talk and see other people from whenever they are, So technology is advancing very, 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 very fast, and it will continue. In the age of Aquarius, if you know a little bit about astrology, Aquarius is all about envisioning something that it may not be understood by others, but is having that big, big, big picture and having that vision, that's the word, vision, the big vision of co-creating or doing the system in a different way. And I think that's how technology can be used in our favor, and we can work with it, and we can actually create more awareness and exchange more information and interconnected the advance of technology with the advance of consciousness. And plant medicine are the ones who are helping with the advance of consciousness. And as more as we advance in technology, the more we are being called to advance in consciousness, because consciousness is what it brings us back to nature. And the closer we are to nature, the grounded we are to nature, the better we can deal with all of this electronic and all of this age of advances in electronics. At the same time that internet came out, the consciousness of the planet was changing, right? So internet needed to happen because the consciousness of the planet was changing, and vice versa. The consciousness needed to happen because internet was happening. So there is so much information with internet, there's so much information with consciousness now, right? We are more aware of it. And why do I'm sharing this point is because plant medicine will help us to go back to nature, to come back to our body, to come back to heal ourselves, to come back to the inner peace of dealing with our own shadows, dealing with our own trauma, dealing with our own coping mechanism that we think are the best because they help us, but sometimes they can hurt us when we no longer need them. I can make an example. Okay, I'll make an example of myself, because the only thing I know is myself. But it was for me as growing up with such a dysfunctional family system, lack of support, so much trauma everywhere. My coping mechanism is why when I feel threatened, I would go and just be me, right? So I would remove myself from the situation because that was safe for me at that moment. And that created safety for me at that moment. So I would remove myself from the situation and I will process it on my own. Now as an adult, when I'm doing that in the communities I'm part of is seen as, oh, she's shutting down. Oh, she doesn't want to talk. Oh, she's just, going away. That was my coping mechanism that helped me. I don't need to explain to anyone what helped me to deal with the trauma and overcome the trauma and focusing on healing. I would like the people to understand and have compassion and understand that my coping mechanism will be very different if the other person was in the same situation, and they will react in a different way. When we feel that we have the right to tell others what to do, like sit with this person, no sit with this, do that, we are naively thinking that we know better than them. And as I said earlier, we're all unique. There is no one like you. There's no one, and never will be, and never was someone like you. So only you can do you, and only you can choose for you. And when we go to the point of telling people what they can or cannot do, we are somehow perpetuating the same capitalized system, right? The same colonized system of, I know better, so let me tell you what to do, right? You don't know better. You don't know what that person's soul's mission is. You don't know what that person's soul's path is. You have no clue. That person may not even know. So by somebody saying like, yes, you should do this, or you shouldn't do this, or you should do it this way and not this way, we are interfering in somebody's path, and we are interfering in somebody's decision-making power, right? Why do I'm saying this is because we're seeing this in Colorado a lot, that there's a lot of controversy of who should provide medicine, who shouldn't, and all of that. And if we continue looking outside and looking what the other is doing, we miss the point that is look within and look what you are doing, how you are doing, how you are healing, how you are creating that inner peace from within. And that doesn't mean that you couldn't share information, that you couldn't create awareness, but we do gotta respect each other's free will, and we gotta respect what the other person chooses and what their path is and what their soul shows before they were even born, to live and experience this lifetime, and I'm just going to say, maybe controversial, I'm just going to say, if a person is meant to sit with somebody who is not a native person serving the medicine, who are we to say something about it, right? The option should be there if the person wants to, and if they find in their own way, in their own path, that maybe that wasn't for them, they will. The medicines are intelligent beings. There is so much wisdom and knowledge behind that we cannot see, that we can only see one perspective. So by thinking that creating controversy or creating division or creating conflict of what one person is doing and the other is not doing, we're missing the point of what the plant medicine actually wants to teach us, which is heal yourself, go from within, find that inner peace, mind your own business, period. Help others, Yes, but health from abundance, health from your overflow, health from where you are good. We cannot give what we don't have. We can only give what we have, right? And even if we try, give something that we don't have, it won't come out right because we're giving it from a place of lack, and lack creates more lack. So abundance creates more abundance. So the more we focus on ourselves and use this plant medicine and our experience with the medicine to work from within and create that inner peace from within, you're doing way more than serving 1,000 people ayahuasca. Believe it or not, because your vibration is creating an impact into the conscious collective. Your being is making that impact, is making that ripple effect. Everything is energy, absolutely, everything. Energy never dies, only transforms. We are energy. So when our energy changes and we start going away from thinking that we know better from the other person about their life, and we focus only about our life, we start understanding that maybe all of those people that are around us are just a projection of what is happening from within, that they are there because they need to show me what I cannot see about myself. And that takes us out of victimhood. That takes us out of that, oh, this person did to me, and even the system did this to me. How can we move out of, I have no power, to, oh, thank you so much for showing me where I need to work on myself. Thank you so much for showing me what I cannot see. And thank you for showing me my power to take ownership of my own path. And everybody should have that opportunity to make that choice for themselves. And in the plant medicine movement is confusing because a lot of people are telling you so many things, and when nobody comes to plant medicine because, or maybe they do, I don't know, but most of the people that I have met that have come to plant medicine is because there is trauma and there is unresolved pain and sorrow that wants to be held and nourished and seen and healed. No one just go and, well, the people that I haven't seen and met, we all have that in common. And if somebody is making the decision to try something different or to try plant medicine to heal themselves in a different way, they should be able to, right? And they should have the choice, and it should be provided in the right container. One of the things that I have seen and experienced is that when someone sits in plant medicine with a native person whose lineage has this medicine, and they are, this is their path, this is what they do, they travel around, right? Medicine men, road men, medicine woman, they travel around and they sacrifice so much to share their medicine around the world. Those who have had that experience to sit with them is profoundly different than those who haven't. And I'm not saying that one is better than the other, it's just different. And those who haven't sat yet with someone who is in the lineage, I would recommend it because you will amazingly love it. Not because I'm telling that it's the right thing, it's just because you deserve to experience that. You deserve to experience that connection to the spiritual world. When we are sitting with Native people, there is one thing that is unique, and it's the language, the importance of language, and the importance of the prayer. When a Native person opens the circle and opens the ceremony, they do it in their own language. They don't do it in English, they don't do it in Spanish, they don't do it in Latin, right? They do it in their own language. That right there is tremendous different than sitting with somebody who doesn't have that. I'm not saying that the other person is bad or they're doing it wrong. They're doing the best they can with what they have because they don't know what they don't know. This is why it's so important that we embrace the voices of those who do know the medicines and who respectfully have dedicated their life. And many, and I'm sure you heard in other talks, have sacrificed their life for these medicines. So how can we embrace, as a community here in Colorado, those voices? How can we make the spaces for those voices? How can we create the resources to bring these people to the land, to here, and let them speak for themselves? And as you all know, and as I shared earlier, there was a massacre here, so the people of this land were pushed away from their land. So Colorado is asking for that healing. Colorado, the land of Colorado is asking for that reparation. There is not a coincidence that decriminalized Denver happened here. It was the medicine. I was one of the 4 people who initiated decriminalized Denver here in Colorado. My sister over there, Andrea, was part as well. We were the only 2 female, and the only 2 female of color, and then Melanie joined. Then we were the female of color, right? And then it was, it was beautiful to see, and you ladies can speak as well, the grassroots of decriminalized Denver. It was beautiful. No one got paid. It was a grassroots movement, and it was based on how can we decriminalize nature, right? Decriminalize something that should never be criminalized in the first place. It was never about legalizing and creating all what we have seen after Proposition 122 passed, right? It's 2 different things that happened. And as now where we are with Proposition 122 and the land asking for healing, and now this is happening, right, with where the law is going, it's very challenging, right? And it's creating a lot of controversy, and it's created a lot of more pain than healing in that way. So how can all of us here and whoever sees this series can start bringing that awareness of the importance of the connection with the grassroots, with the connection of the people, with the connection what the people want more than the big companies and corporations want, right? What the people need, what the community want and the community need more than the pockets of these huge corporations that have come to Colorado to profit from plant medicine. I would love to share and to invite those who have never sat with a Native person leading the medicine to be open for that. It may not be now, it may be later, but just to be open, because one thing that I have seen is that those who haven't sat with natives leading the medicine, they feel stuck. They feel they couldn't go beyond that because they don't enter the deep, deep, deep spiritual work because there is not that opening in the native language at the very beginning to hold that space. When the shaman is holding the space, they know everything that is happening in the circle. So when somebody doesn't have that, not because they don't want to have it, it's not there, right? How can they hold that space for others? My comment of not getting in the way or intervene, that's what intervene for someone. For someone's path, even if they have been abused, or if
just their way of being.
Their way of being. What I meant doesn't condemn people behaviors, doesn't allow people behaviors. I'm all about safety and healing and all about creating those systems where there is no child molester, where there's no domestic violence, where I actually work in Domestic Violence Coalition of Colorado because I feel it's really important to talk about these issues and actually to bring awareness how these issues are so present in community of colors, mostly in community of color. That doesn't say that they are not present in other community, but mostly in community of color because of the trauma, right? That doesn't mean that I'm saying like, oh, go for it and do your thing. No. What I'm saying is hurt people, right? So behind that person who is hurting other, there is also a soul who is hurt, right? I'm not saying that that person is doing something good, is acting from a place of hurt. That person also deserves healing, and that place also deserves an opportunity to see their wound, right? And to stop harming others. Our system don't allow that. The system, what will the system do? It will other that person as well, and that person will never look see an opportunity of healing. You know, it will be seen as that's the evil and we're the victims, right? When I share what I share, is like when somebody says you shouldn't do medicine with so and so, you know, or these people are doing it wrong because of this and that, and like we don't know really. The same way that we don't know what happened to the abuser, right? And what made the abuser abuse another person, we don't know, and that doesn't mean that we're allowing the behavior. It just means that we gotta understand the system are not created for healing or for understanding trauma. So at the very beginning, I mentioned it's not about becoming shaman, it's about how can we change the system that they're already there and make it different within the system that we're already part of it, right? By bringing that awareness, by bringing that consciousness, and bringing trauma awareness at the end, that's what it is, because hurt people, right? And all of those who are in jail or who have been put aside by society, those are souls who are suffering, and we're all interconnected. So no one is free until everybody's free, right? So it's a long way. It's a long way. But we can start by offering compassion to the person and, yes, offering compassion instead of pointing with the finger, because we really don't know. And as someone who works on these topics, at the end is the system, at the end is the trauma, is that inner child looking for love and healing, and I see two hands up, and ways of being seen or create the harm that they receive, right? To be able to, because only hurt people hurt people. The medical system is a system that it was created to treat symptoms, not the root of the cause. And the medical system, I'm also a certified health coach. So the medical system was created to to treat the symptoms and to prescribe, right, and to cure the symptom. There is not an understanding of the root of the cause of what is happening. Yes, medicine, if you break a bone or you need, my mother had a stroke, right? She needed surgery on her brain. Bless those doctors, right, that did the surgery on her brain and actually saved her life. And now she's alive. She's still recovering, but she's alive. So yes, there is a space for everything. But saying that that's the only thing and the only one, like I mentioned earlier with the military coup, that's the difference. There is no only one way. There are many ways, and we should be allowed to see them all and then choose. Yes, somebody online is asking if I have any comments on recommendations? Resources for solo work, to do plant medicine solo, right? I do not have any resources to provide, but I can share that always trust your intuition, always. There's no one that knows better for you than you. There's no one, and there will never be. We know better, and the more we work in ourselves, and the more we trust and connect to our body, the better we can connect to our intuition and actually have that discernment. Trust the medicine. The medicine chooses you. The medicine calls you, and the medicine will find you at divine timing. No before, no after. So trust the path. Yeah. And yes, this is why the medicine has spoken, and the medicine has said it's time for the world to know about it. This is why the shamans are traveling around for months, right, to share the medicine. So how can we create the space so more people show up to those things? How can we create the safe space to have this conversation so we can share the information when the shamans are here, right? So it's about creating the safe spaces and treating them well, and providing them, and no tokenizing them, of course, right? Or no thinking that they come in and then leave in. And it's about creating a relationship with them. There's so much that we don't know, right? So much that we don't know. We don't know what we don't know. So yes, agree that we're really disconnected, but the resources are there. We just gotta trust that when it's the time, the medicine will show up. The divine order is divine. It just happens, right? So it's not something that you can ever intervene. Create the safest space for the indigenous people to speak for themselves. Yeah, they are the stewards of these medicines. We can't just bypass that and think that we know better because law or because a degree or because the medicine told you so, right? We need to honor and respect that. We need to honor and respect the holders of the lineage of the medicine, and we must create the space for them. and we must create a safe space for them. And we must remunerate them and create reciprocity toward their time and their energy, and their mission is beyond just serving medicine. It's changing the consciousness of the entire planet to co-create the new earth for the future generations. It's huge, right? So take it with that respect and create the spaces for them. And they are there, they're here, they want to share. Find the translators for them, right? But yes, center the native voices because they are the stewards of the plant medicines. The question is that I touch about re-indigenizing instead of decolonizing, and there is differences on those two words. And how can we do that? Like ways of how can we start doing that? First of all, having the intention to do so. Have a lot of compassion for your lineage. A lot of compassion, because hurt people, you know, and we all have in our lineage hurt, right? We all have in our lineage the effect of colonialization. So we cannot give something that we don't have, right? So how can we offer compassion to others if we don't offer compassion to ourselves first? So go in within, right, and offer compassion to your own wounds. What hurts you? What moves you, right? I don't want to use the word trigger because it's what it moves us. It doesn't trigger us. It just moves us so we can see it, so we can put light toward. So once we are aware of it, it's no longer there, right? So by having compassion toward yourself, by reconnected to the four elements, through your breath, through your blood, through your body, through your spirit, reconnecting and do your work. And your guides are with you, your ancestors are with you in your body, but also are with you. That doesn't mean that because we cannot see a spirit, that doesn't mean they're not there. They're walking with you and they're guiding you and they're putting you in the right direction with the right people at the right time, so you just trust. But focus on you and provide compassion to yourself. And this is something so important that I feel it has helped me tremendously in my process of healing, is only carry what is yours. Put boundaries with your ancestors too. You know, only carry what is yours, because we cannot fix something that is not ours. And sometimes we carry stuff that our parents or grandparents, right? We do these contracts, soul contracts, and we in DV, for example, domestic violence, for example, it repeats generation, right? Even when one generation may be so aware of it, it repeats unconsciously, because somehow we do these soul ties that with our lineage, that we are so loyal to it that we don't even want to let go of that. So sometimes we carry stuff that is not ours because of that tie of loyalty to our lineage. Because I'm pretty sure all of you are it may not be like that, but are the black sheep of your family, aren't you? Aren't you? We all are the different ones, right? So, and all humans, we're meant to live in community. We're meant to belong. And when we are being othering or we're being pushed away, we are hurt because we're meant to belong. We're meant to be in community. So we unconsciously do these ties with soul ties with our clan or original family, original family or our clan, because we don't want to be the only one doing it different, and we don't want to be unconsciously the one who is left alone. Because that, for, I don't know, many years ago, that meant that you were kicked out of the community and you were leave alone to die, right? And we carry that. So compassion, self-compassion, soften it, you know? What is not yours, don't carry it, but honor it, and honor your ancestor, because without them, you wouldn't be here today. So she said, yes, that she's also part of a tribe, and she grew up with the community, and the importance of the support of the community while we're working with plant medicine, or any healing in general, right? Yeah. And how, what will be my opinion on those who don't have that, and the part of integration. And that's a great question because community is healing, right? The opposite of addiction, for example, is no sobriety, is connection, is community. We are beings, we're mammals. We're meant to be in community. We're meant to be in tribe. We're meant to be with others, right? And natives don't talk about integration because community provides that, right? So we talk about integration. Others talk about integration because we don't have that part. So integration is fundamental for the healing path. If we think that the medicine and sitting with the medicine is all the work that we got to do, we're very naive. One of our dear friends says, right, the medicine doesn't, the medicine starts when the ceremony ends. That's when the medicine starts. Because we can be so beautiful during the medicine and so connected and all of that, but if we come back to our old habits and old patterns to our daily life, what's the purpose of sitting 1,000 times with the medicine, right? It's about integrating to your daily life and become the best version of yourself, right? And become the most authentic version of yourself. And if we don't have that community that supports us, then we must look for that integration and help and support. And now we do have those who are supporting others. My personal experience, it took me 7 years to sit with ayahuasca. It called me long time, and it took me 7 years. And during those 7 years, for example, I worked with other plants medicine that it helped me personally to deal with trauma. So I can see your point of, oh yeah, but that's what happened to me personally, because it's what I needed, and I feel the medicine was protecting me, because it wanted to work with me in the right way. And this is why I received the call. And then 7 years later, I'm meeting the medicine. You know, I feel that it's unique to each person and to each individual, but the medicine knows better. You know, so I'm grateful that you asked that, because that was my experience. Even though I wanted to sit with the medicine so badly for so long, it just wouldn't happen. So many things will happen, right? And then when it happened, I was like, okay, it needed to be now, because I did the trauma work, because maybe it could have been too much for me, I don't know, right? But the medicine is an intelligent being that knows way more than we do. So we just gotta trust. Right now, in the US, in Chile, there are people speaking about plant medicine, and there are groups that are being created. And all of this is because of what happened here in Colorado after decriminalized Denver. Because after decriminalized Denver, the ripple effect was so big, it traveled throughout the whole country. That's the medicine, that's the land, that's Mother Nature doing the work. We are co-creating it. We're not doing it alone, we're co-creating it. So now there is more awareness of plant medicine in Chile. Much more, and it's beautiful to see, because there's so much trauma. And one of my life goals is to heal the trauma of the military coup. Yeah, because it's like talking to a fish about water. You don't know that you are so immersed on it until you are able to get out of it and see a different perspective. Thank you.